Okay, this is from Craig Wilson. He says, the oil in my WLA gearbox has a cloudy grey colour to it. Do you have any idea what it is? Is it worth worrying about?
Can be, but change it out, swap it over, put some new fresh oil in it, and do a few miles, because grey is generally the aluminium wearing somewhere.
Yeah.
Normally, or a shim's gone, or something's gone back to base metal. Grey's normally metal, so change it, run it for a few hundred miles or whatever, and if it is still grey, then yeah, I would worry about it. If something's worn out that badly it's touching the aluminium, then it will eventually go wrong. Yeah,
it's not going to get any better, is it?
No.
This is from Craig Wilson again. I was wondering, do I need to check the clearance between the generator pinion and the driving pinion located in the timing cover? There are a few paper shims between the generator and the housing on my one. I noticed you had the timing cover bolted on prior to fitting the generator.
Yeah, you can pre-fit them. What you have to do is put spacers in instead of putting the timing cover on, because you've got longer bolts hold the generator in. And basically you want to fill the cog as long as you've got a bit of lash there. You don't want it tight, so it's just between the teeth. You can set it, like I say, with spacers on the long bolts and just draw it up tight, but generally you can basically, if you take the end cover off of the generator as well, you can just get in there and just move it. If you can move it slightly, you know, with a little bit of free play, it's okay. But if they're, and again, another thing to do, which is, if you're worried about it, is just get some gasket paper, pop another gasket shim underneath it. If it starts getting noisy, take it back out. As long as you've got a little bit of lash there, because if they're tight, they just grind all the bearings up in the generator.
Martin Hardy, this is when you're assembling the Scavenger oil pump. He said, would removing the tapered chain oil screw help to produce or prevent sumping?
No, it won't make any difference at all. No, because all it is a bleed out to the chain. It won't stop the oil passing, because it's on the bottom of the engine anyway. The bit that lets the oil into the sump is your other oil pump. So no, it won't make any difference there.
Molua Isaac, and this is when you were doing some sheet metal fabrication. He said, good work, please can you explain the type of welding? Is it MIG or TIG?
On the sheet metal work it would have been MIG.
What's the difference between MIG and TIG then?
Yeah, what it is, on a MIG welder, the wire comes off a spool. When you pull the trigger, an electric motor winds it down. That's got power going through it, and when it hits the earth it arcs and makes the weld. A TIG welder, you've got the power goes to what we call a tungsten. No wire feed, you feed the rod in by hand. That's TIG welding.
And is one used much more for heavy duty rather than...
generally, if you're doing big construction stuff, there's another weld called arc welding, which you use, which is a stick. MIG's middle of the range, you can use for both. TIG you can use for both realistically, but TIG welding you don't generally get onto real heavy duty stuff with it. You know, you can weld some serious shit with a MIG welder, but TIG you can go mad with it. I've used 1/4 inch tungstens on that welding 1/2 inch alley. But then you're getting into the stage with any of that sort of stuff, you need to purge it, you need to get it hot first, you need gas balloon round it, all that sort of stuff, you know.
Piper Doug, question for Ash the Mighty.
What's
the highest mileage vehicle he's ever had, and what's the most miles on a vehicle he's ever worked on? My current work truck is 32,000 kilometres, and my older farm truck that's in the shop for some attention has 441,000 kilometres.
Did a Hudson Commodore. That we had, and I've never ever seen a vehicle that knackered in my life. Every single bit of it was worn out. I mean, everything.
How many miles has it done?
Oh, Christ knows. Millions, I should think. It was been stuck on a farm, I would have thought. Done don't know the exact mileage because it only, you know, but that must have done starship miles. That thing's be that worn out. It really. Oh yeah.
Nothing else would make it worn out.
No, it was absolutely knackered. Every bit of it was knackered.
But what's on a speedo? What was the highest mileage that you?
Oh, I used to do probably the transits when I was steel erecting because they ran 24/7. We'd get out of them and another crew would get in them and go and do the night, you know, the night jobs. They were $1 million plus, those things.
What?
Oh yeah, bonkers, mate. But they serviced them every 3,000 miles. They were serviced.
Yeah.
They put new belts on them every 3,000. It just kept going. Just kept going and going and going, you know. Do you remember that guy when we went? Did you come with us to Carrot Cruncher bloke? You did, didn't you? The bloke who transported that over there, the 2 cars over there on his wagon, was a Polish guy. That had done 2 million kilometres. Yeah.
All right, Doug. There you go.
Yeah. And I don't know how old it was. Ancient, but they just serviced it.
So Papa Doug stuff is just a baby in comparison.
Well, I mean, 500,000's enough, isn't it?
Oh yeah, hell yeah. Jesus.
You know.
Jeffrey Fox. I'm currently working on the engine of my 49 WL. How thick is the bearing race dimension in the case? I'm using a 0.098 and a 0.102 washers on my crankshaft and wonder if the case bearing races have been worn down, but I do not know the stock thickness.
Don't know off the top of my head. I can find out, but basically, as long as you shim it up till you've got your 4 thou end play or whatever it is, I think it's 4 thou.
Okay.
It shouldn't make any difference. You know, admittedly, you've got to put bigger shims in, but as long as it's reasonably central,
yeah,
it shouldn't make any difference at all. I've put 90 in each side before, so yeah.
Okay. Next week on the workshop.
Well, that piece is solid. There's a pin going down through that holds your spindle that the wheel rotates on.
Yeah.
That's bushed. And basically they just wear out. So it's not the easiest job in the world, but we'll show you how to do it.